will say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? Once again, we take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you, first of all, for creating this transmission with us this day of your time. Once again, each and every time, your civilization co-creates these transmissions with our civilization, we are afforded an opportunity to see and experience through each and every one of you that many more perspectives within creation, and this expands our understanding of the infinite. So we thank you for this gift. We would like to begin this transmission with the following idea that we will call negotiation and resolution. Now, many times in conversations on your planet, as we have observed your people, there will be opportunities over and over and over again that will call for what you call negotiation and resolution. In many cases, because of the portions of your consciousness that have been trained within you to be hidden, there will sometimes be agendas within you that you will not even necessarily consciously know about, so that when you go about the business of negotiating for what you believe is supposed to be the resolution, you may find yourself at odds with the individuals you are negotiating with, because you may be on one particular track, as you say, thinking that you are both going in the same direction, when in fact you are even sometimes heading in opposite directions, because you may not necessarily be aware of what your own hidden agendas are and what it is you actually think you're negotiating for, what kind of an outcome or resolution you think you're supposed to have, may be diametrically opposed to the belief systems and definitions and resolutions that the other individual or individuals believe they are supposed to have. Now, sometimes, of course, many of you know you have different agendas, but will, for one reason or another, again, usually because of emotional hidden agendas, insist on sticking to the kind of resolution you desire. In fact, many times demand, and will not necessarily accept that a resolution has been created unless, to put it simply, you get your way. The idea, however, is to understand that because many of these hidden agendas exist, and because many of these hidden agendas will color the way in which you go about creating a so-called resolution, you may find, of course, that you will not come to a resolution because of that coloration. The idea in all negotiations, in all desire for resolution, is to really focus on the idea of resolution itself as a concept before you focus on the idea of exactly how specifically such a resolution must be accomplished. In other words, if you make not your own agenda the priority, but the idea of coming to a resolution at all the priority, that is your primary concern, that you do, in fact, come to some kind of resolution, no matter how you get there, then by allowing the idea, the concept, the desire for resolution itself to be primary, you can allow the concept of resolution to guide the methodologies and guide the details about how you come to the resolution, rather than making the resolution subservient and, in a sense, secondary to the idea of what you think you're supposed to get out of it. When you focus on the idea that the primary reason for being in the negotiation is to come to a resolution somehow, that the resolution is paramount, then that desire, that focus, will help you search for more ways to achieve a resolution than you might otherwise have been willing to look at, because you may have been focused on your own hidden agenda, which in many cases, by definition, would be relatively limited as far as all the different ways that a resolution could be created. So focus on the resolution itself as the main goal of any negotiation, that coming to a resolution is the primary agenda, regardless of how you get there. And you will find yourself with that in mind, first of all, having a common point with the other individual. If you can both agree that coming to a resolution is more important exactly than how you get there, you're already in agreement on something. And that is a good beginning to any negotiation and any resolution. We thank you for allowing us to reflect this concept to you at this time and to share with you our perspective on this particular matter. Again, it is always up to you as to whether or not to pay attention and or apply this information. We are only sharing with you what works for our civilization and leaving it up to you to decide what works for you. But I do, from experience in our world, know that this will aid and assist and accelerate any and all negotiations and resolutions that you may actually desire to undertake. If you will, but be willing to apply this methodology and this principle and this priority in that fashion. Once again, we thank you, and in return for the gift that you are giving our civilization in allowing us to communicate with you through this window in this way at this time, I ask in return, in what way may I and my civilization now be of service to you? Good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? Once again, we take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for allowing our civilization to communicate with you through this gateway in this manner at this time. Once again, each and every time you afford us an opportunity to interact with your civilization in this way, it allows our civilization to view more aspects of the infinite as you present your unique points of view. We would like to begin this transmission, this day of your time, with the following idea that we would like to entitle Opening the Floodgates of Creativity. The idea being, once again, to remind you, in that everything is vibration, in that you, as a physical being, are still consciousness at a certain pitch, at a certain frequency, at a certain vibratory level. The idea to recognize is that many of you, while expressing that you desire more creativity in your life, must understand that in order to receive more creativity, in order to experience more insight, more inspiration, more intuition, and all the other aspects that you know go hand in hand with operating on a more creative level and living more creative lives, you must understand once again that the primary principle of allowing yourself to open the floodgates of creativity is to allow yourself to be on that frequency, on that bandwidth first. Only by allowing yourself to create the frequency of creativity through whatever methodology your imagination deems is best for you, only by being on that frequency level first can you thus then take advantage of the insights and perspectives that will automatically then come with being on that level. Once you allow yourself to be on that level first, whatever that means to you personally, rather than waiting for creativity to come in order to inspire you, once you allow yourself to act inspirationally, once you allow your imagination to guide you, once you are free to give yourself permission to let your dreams and let your visions and let your imagination be real and representative of your true nature, then you will, by accepting that, by aligning with that, by behaving in accordance with that, be open to perceiving things you would have previously not been capable of perceiving, because you cannot perceive what you are not the vibration of. But when you allow yourself to know you are creators by design, that you are creative by nature, and are willing to imbue and infuse everything that you do with more creativity, more flourish, more imagination, less rigidity, less roteness, then you will find automatically that not only will you be able to allow whatever it is that needs to be done in your life to be handled more creatively, but by being more creative, you may even discover that many of the things you think are necessary to do in life are no longer necessary, and that you can discover other ways to go about achieving what needs to be achieved, manifesting what needs to be manifested, without necessarily taking the route that you think you have to take or have been taught to think you have to take. Creativity in and of itself bespeaks of shortcuts, so to speak, because creativity is about the idea of making associations to things that on certain levels do not appear to be associated. By making the leap of connectivity, you in fact will shorten any path that may have previously existed for you to manifest or attain anything you thought needed to be attained through a longer path, one containing more steps. Creativity can make a path shorter in that sense, make it unnecessary for you to have to take 500 steps when, in a sense, one might do. By being creatively associative, you can begin to allow yourself to see how everything is connected. And by seeing that everything is connected and incorporating that understanding in your imagination, in your behavior, and in your attitude, you can allow your physical reality, your day-to-day physical reality, to begin to reflect those shortcuts to you, and thus provide you with more spontaneous opportunities, circumstances, and situations that you would have been incapable of perceiving before allowing yourself to be on that level, that will show you how much more effortless things can be, how much shorter things can take in terms of time, and how much more fun your reality can be, without the idea of it needing to be drudgery, without the idea of needing to judge how it is that things need to come about. By allowing yourself to know that you can approach anything in your life creatively, imaginatively, you will see that it has practical and pragmatic side effects, so to speak, that will really make, in many cases, short work of your dreams, allowing you to manifest more and more and more, often larger and larger, more expanded visions, by knowing that anything you really can imagine is attainable as long as you believe it is aligned with the idea of your joy, your excitement, your truth, your nature in life. You will find that you have far less limitations upon yourself than you previously thought. And remember, please remember, this is not just a nice idea. This is not just a pleasant-sounding philosophy. This is a description of physics. You are energy. You are vibration of consciousness. As you vibrate, so your reality is reflected to you. This is the way physiological reality works. Take it to heart. You will see the effect. You will see the result, guaranteed, but only if you are on that frequency first. Again, by analogy, you can only get the program that your television set is tuned to. All the other programs may be there in the airways, but they will remain invisible to you until you change the channel to one that bespeaks of more creativity. But when you do, the floodgates of creativity will open to you, and you will see, perhaps even with astonishment, how much more inspiring your life can be, how much more exciting, how much more fun, how much more expansive, how much more accelerated, all the things that are representative of you functioning as you were designed to function, that is, as the image of the infinite Creator. We thank you for allowing us to remind you of this idea, for truly this knowledge is always within you. And all we are doing is, as a mirror, reflecting to you what you already know. In return, however, for the gift of sharing your reality with us, in allowing us to communicate with you, I ask now in return, in what way may I and my civilization be of service? Good day to you this day, Peter Time. How are you all? Once again, we take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for co-creating this particular interaction through this window and in this way at this time. We thank you for the gift of your willingness to co-create this sharing, this transmission, this communication, to expand our understanding of creation through our experience of our interaction with each and every one of you. This day of your time, let us begin this transmission with the concept of what you call in your language oxymoron, the self-contained contradiction. We have, of course, from time to time talked about the idea of paradox, which is an expression of self-contained, apparent contradiction, and we have discussed that when you discover paradox, when you are in a situation that is filled with paradox, we remind you that you are then capable of knowing that you are dealing with the core of your being, the center of yourself, standing at the crossroads of the manifestation of the experience you are having, because all things originate through you, come from the center, the gateway, that is you, the conduit, the channel, and in that knowledge there would be then the understanding that anything you experience in life, because life happens through you, not to you, that anything you experience in life that would appear to be paradoxical or oxymoronic would thus simply then be the polarized representations of what, at its heart, is one thing, but which, when expressed through you into the world of three-dimensionality, can manifest itself to appear as if it would be diametrically opposing concepts. But in between every two diametrically opposed concepts is the center of the truth, of the idea that you are dealing with. And by allowing yourself to remember the axiom that in life, reality is really composed of this and that, rather than this or that, then you begin to allow yourself to become comfortable with paradoxical occurrences, paradoxical structures, oxymoronic. Life is reality. Reality is an oxymoron. It is, as we have said, that reality is only what you define it to be, only what you perceive it to be. And as such, therefore, then there is no reality. But that's what reality is. And this is an oxymoronic, paradoxical statement. There is no reality, except your perception of it, but that's what reality is. This is a self-contained paradox. Even your term, oxymoron, is in and of itself an oxymoron, self-contradictory statement, in that oxy refers to the idea of intelligence, moronic refers to the idea of the lack thereof. Oxymoron is an oxymoron. Going into a phrase that you are familiar with that is also oxymoronic, random patterns. The idea, of course, again, being that randomness is chaotic and does not appear to contain patterns, whereas patterns are orderly, structured, apparently unrandom, and yet, as you are beginning now to know, as many of your scientists and mathematicians have understood, in randomness there is patterns, and patterns will, through entropy, eventually break down into randomness, which will generate patterns all over again. It is a self-perpetuating cycle, a closed circle, a loop. Thus then reinforcing the concept that life itself, the experience of reality itself, is paradoxical and oxymoronic. By making a friend of paradox, by being willing to live in dichotomy, accepting both sides of the coin so that you can have the coin, for as we have said, without one side, there cannot be the other. Allowing yourself to relax your definitions of life so that you can begin to experience more of the paradox that will allow you to remember that you are squarely in the center of those apparently opposing definitions. And blending those definitions together, bringing them back into the center from whence they came, will allow you to achieve and maintain and remain in the balance of life, knowing that all things stem through you from the infinite and can be expressed in a number of ways, black and white, day and night, and yet together make up the one reality that you do appear to experience. so that you know that without one you do not have the other. That is the nature of your life experience and your experience of self-awareness, your experience of your own consciousness. And so, allow yourself not to become confused by the apparent dichotomies, but accept them both as real, and in so doing, learn how to see where they connect, where an association can be made between them, so that in so doing, you will find a third reality, a third point of view, and your power, your center point of power, responsible for creating the original polarity, manifestation, or appearance thereof. So remember, reality itself is an oxymoron, a paradox. You live in it every day, every night. Accept it for what it is and find that center point. And you will find the source of life within yourself, within your consciousness, with you as a reflection of the infinite. The one that is all, the all that is one. Again, another paradox. We thank you for allowing us to reflect and remind you of this concept and this principle. Put it into action. Put it to use. It will open doorways you heretofore did not perceive were present within you. At this time, once again in return for the gift that you are giving our civilization and allowing us to have this communication with you, I ask, in what way may I and my world be of service to you? You and then you.